says we are live, so hopefully that is the case. Welcome everyone. It's been I guess it's been 2 weeks. I don't think I did a Blueprint live stream last week. I was busy with the Laravel 8 shift and upgrade. So yeah, that's what we're going to focus on this time. Is this test generator actually specifically? It hasn't been updated for Laravel 8. It runs for Laravel 8, but it won't generate the model factories, which it attempts to do, at least not for Laravel 8, right? The new class-based factories. So I want to clean this up and have that work, but in the process of kind of looking for a solution for this, I realized that pretty much no package out there actually supports the new Laravel 8 class-based factories yet. I actually used to manage Marcel's, Laravel test factory helper, I think it was called, or something. Yeah, there it is. Cool. So anyway, this is something I actually was managing for quite a while. Marcel built this probably 2, 3 years ago, and I guess definitely in the last 16 months I had been updating this or kind of managing it. But between Blueprint and kind of everything else, it's been one of those things where I haven't been able to give it a lot of attention. In total fairness, it's not even my package anyway. I was just kind of keeping this up to date because it's something I used for Confident Laravel and something I recommend with the fixer, or sorry, the test generator. So, there was some usage here, and so I wanted to kind of give back and maintain it. But with these new class factories, I think there's an opportunity to kind of like break away from this, let it become abandoned or whatever, if that's truly going to be the case. We'll see what Marcel decides. Totally up to him. Again, his package. But I do know there's some other ones in the community. For example, this Laravel factory prefill, which has been getting more updates lately, and I saw it in Laravel News a few months ago. I had reached out to, hopefully I don't mess this up, Krishan. I know you're supposed to say that better, but hopefully I got it at least roughly correct. Sorry, I'm a dumb American. But anyway, I had reached out to him on Twitter, and we had kind of discussed, hey, let's get this upgraded for Laravel 8, maybe roll it under Shift, just for kind of like the latest version. We can still kind of have this to support back to Laravel 6. LTS kind of thing, but we can use maybe the Shift version to not only facilitate driving out the test generator, but also, being something, of course, the community can use directly. You don't have to use Shift. Yeah, and he's actually, Krishan's actually on the stream today, so thanks for joining. Hey, Nuno, thank you for joining too. Glad you could catch one of these. So anyways, that's what we're going to do today. We're going to try to take this package, this community package, make it Laravel 8 only, so that's going to be able to allow us to hopefully remove some stuff, and then of course finally have it generate class-based factories for Laravel 8, so the new class syntax. So, and eventually, again, there might be some additional tweaks we make to this. So if I can get kind of a dev master that I can start proving out in the test generator, that would be awesome. And then Krishan and I can work together and get this taggable and releasable a proper version, and do all the right things to maybe again abandon this and kind of move people towards the jointly maintained kind of Shift version. Cool. Okay, so that's the whole story. Let's get into the code. So what I've done is I've made a model factory generator underneath the Shift, underneath the Shift account. This will again just be easier, something I can maintain directly through Shift and kind of tweak it for those purposes. So I've added myself as a collaborator, which I don't believe I accepted that invite. Hold on just a second. We're gonna go full JMac so I can open up my email and get that invite accepted. 1 second here. Let me just run the login. Okay, I think we're good. let's go back. Let me close my email. All right, and let's go back to the dual screen. All right, cool. So I am in, I've accepted the invite, and this is going to allow me to start working on this package. Now, normally I would just fork this package underneath Shift, but again, I want to make sure that the community is aware that, you know, even though this is based off that package, it is separate. It has a separate intention, again, mostly for driving the test generator. Now, while you can do it on your own, it's not something, or while you can run it on your own, again, it's something that might be a little opinionated towards Shift. So again, this one will always exist. The artisan make commands always exist. Maybe Marcel, bumps this for 8. I know Christoph has a kind of Laravel model factory like Redux or Reloaded, kind of a different concept than the core factories. So again, a couple exist out there, just none of which were Laravel 8 specific and kind of the Laravel conventional way of doing things. So that's why we're messing with this. Oh, let's not get text messages from mom. Hey mom. Okay, so what I'm going to do to that point is, again, instead of just forking this, I'm actually going to download the zip, and we're just going to drop the files in to kind of give us that kickstart. So let's pull these up, and we will just kind of get 2 screens going here with the workspace, and we don't even have this clone down yet, so let's clone that down. Git clone that. It should just be an empty repository. Makes total sense. Nothing's in there, so let's again just drag these files, model factory generator. Let's just drag everything over and kind of start removing, kind of what's unnecessary here. And again, I'm totally fine having it. I don't want it to have the entire history of this other package, but I want to, I still want to give it a nod, so I'm fine leaving kind of the initial README remnants and stuff like that. And the license, of course, I want to be the same. So all that can kind of stay. So let's just kind of see where this leaves us from a Git perspective. Git add dot. I just want to make sure we're not getting, I don't want that composer log file, so let's actually, I don't think when you download the files you actually get the git ignore, so let's copy that as well. So let's do pb paste dot git ignore. Okay, and then let's actually reset that addition and try adding it again. It's still picking up the composer lock file. Oh, it's not in the git ignore. Okay, that's fine. Let's try that dance again. And while we're at it, we're going to be in PHP Storm, so let's just go ahead and bite the bullet and bring that up. Congrats on the first child. Oh, thank you. Not here yet, but yes, she is on the way. So yeah, hopefully late October. November 2nd is technically the due date, so we will see if that I think she's gonna be early though. I think she's gonna be early. I love numbers, so I'm kind of hoping for like a October 10th 2020, because that's like 10/10/2020, or like a 10/15/20, or even like a 10/20/20. That would be kind of, those numbers are just, I don't know, those dates make like funny numbers to me. So anyway, composer.lock. Whenever I have a package, I don't see the need to contribute the lock file. People might be running that different ways. And plus it kind of proves out your constraints in composer lock don't do something, odd. So for packages, I kind of like not having it. For projects, it makes sense to lock it down, but whoops. All right, let's see here. Okay, good. We don't have that composer log file now. So I think this is a good, like, kind of initial pullover. So, all right, so let's do a git commit -m initial, let's just say initial import from, and again, I wanna be transparent, so let's give a initial credit here from this. Again, Krishan and I talked about this. I wouldn't just like straight up take someone else's package. I think that's hardcore, even if it is, open source or whatever. I like giving attribution. So, all right, let's go ahead and push this up. And this will kind of give us, again, a rough start. So let's just make sure, I guess probably before pushing, I should have made sure I could like composer install and do all the fanciness. Okay, so everything installs fine now, but again, this is for Laravel, 6, 7, whatever. So let's make this Laravel 8 by dropping, again, we want to just go straight Laravel 8. So let's do 8.0. I think this model analyzer isn't compatible, but I think there is a tag, maybe dev master or something, that we could actually pull on. And then I know orchestral test bench is 6.0 for Laravel 8. Ooh, my machine is humming. All right, so let's see. Let's go to Laravel, and I want to see what their faker constraint is. Okay, let's just make sure we got the latest there as well, just to match. Okay, so I think this one might be a problem, but let's try to run composer update. It's compatible, upgraded yesterday. Okay, thank you. Okay, so hopefully this will just run, and we know we'll be Laravel 8 specific. Oh, just use v2.0. Okay, well let's take a sec. We'll see it fail. And while it's doing that, let's just kind of get a feel for how this works. I see this resources here, which has a view. Okay, so this is going to be our non-class-based factory. So this is where we're going to start. Let's see if we have some kind of tests. Oh, good, and we do. Nice, very nice. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to run this. We're going to run the tests. That'll prove that it's Laravel 8 compatible, but it's still running, of course, and generating Laravel 7 and before models. And then we're going to change this stub to be the class-based version, and then try to get all the tests passing again. And if so, that's going to be a great start for today. There's more I want to do here, again, before I officially tag a release, but this will be enough for today to kind of prove it out. All right. Okay. Yes, we expected that, so let's bump this as instructed to 2.0, and let's try to run composer update again. And if that works, then we'll move on to the tests. Hopefully they'll be green, and again, we'll make them red, and then we'll make them green again. Hey, there we go, awesome. Okay, so this should be fully Laravel 8 compatible. You can install it, it's going to generate old factories, but it will run on Laravel 8, so that's a great start. So let's just kind of add that just for some historical perspectives here. So let's say git commit -m bump dependencies for Laravel 8. Do I have like dependencies? I haven't been able to spell very well the last few days. We'll blame it on baby brain. That's hard to say. Okay, vendor bin PHP unit. Okay, a couple failures here. Let's see what's going on. Probably just some setup. Connection refused. Oh, does this require you to have an does this require like a MySQL database to run? Maybe it does. Let's find out. How does this work? I know it's using orchestral, so it's actually probably like making a database. So you know what? Let's just see if I drop in like DB connection here. Or well, we already have this open. Let's just go back and take a look at PHP unit in a default Laravel 8 project, and let's steal these and see if that's going to be good enough to run this locally. And it looks like we're using server now. Check the test case. Okay, I will. Let me check the test case class. Okay. Out of curiosity, I'm just going to empty that out just for now. I'm curious if I can set it in just PHP unit alone. It doesn't seem like it. Okay. Well, we'll come back to it. If you're saying I need to change it here, then I'll change it here. Won't work, I think, because I configured the environment set up in the test case class. Yeah, I tried commenting this out, but yeah, it doesn't seem to be passing through. We'll come back to that later. I think for now, to your point, let's just do SQLite, and we'll have to, I think we'll have to say something like SQLite, and then database is going to have to be, this would have to be memory. Let's just, again, I don't feel like I should have to do this from what I understand of test bench, but let's see if it helps. Connection refused. Still have a connection refused. So it is pulling memory, that's good, but it seems to be looking at MySQL still. Database default SQLite, database connections .SQLite. The package tries to read out the columns from the DB as well as try to fill in. Yeah, I know. That's why MySQL is required in some cases. Okay, so this package sounds like it might be limited to MySQL only, potentially. Okay. I can fire up Docker and kind of get it working that way if required. But I kind of don't like that it's potentially limited to MySQL only. In fairness, though, I do know that Marcel's package was kind of that way. I think it did really well with MySQL, but some of the other drivers it wasn't, or platforms it wasn't, it wasn't the best with. So, with that said, here's what we'll do. I'll fire up Docker. We'll give this a fair shake. Let me undo some of these changes, and let's give this a fair shake. Let me bring up Docker. Hopefully my connection stays stable while that's firing up. And so what does it try to connect to? Laravel factory prefill. Okay. This is going to need to be like... Yeah, see, I just don't like this because, like, for my environment, for my Docker environment, it's going to be like db host, and it's going to be like db username and db pass or something. So it's kind of ugly. But again, let's see if we can get the test passing. If this doesn't work, then we'll just kind of do it blind, and I'll backfill them off stream. But we'll give it a fair shake. All right, let's let that run for a second. Let me make sure those are right. Let me cat my base Laravel site.env.dev. All right, cool. Yeah, that should be good. Have you tried a .env file? Yeah, I did see that we could potentially drop in a .env file because it did look like it was ignored. In fairness, yeah, it just didn't bring down those files. So yeah, again, if we get this working with MySQL, like I can clean this up to be better. I'm just trying to like quickly move along here so we can get to like the actual code and not the setup. It's always a balance when you're live streaming. Like I want to like show all the steps, but sometimes when you get stuck on like this stuff, I just feel like it's such a waste of time. And I'm like losing viewers by the second. Okay, that is there. But I'm gonna have to run this from Docker. So vendor bin php unit. All right, connection refused. Laravel factory preset. DB host should be correct. If file exists, if not file exists, return. If not file exists, .env, return. That seems a little weird. So it doesn't do any environment setup if there's no file. So do I need the .env file? I can't tell if it's getting there or not. Do I have the right... Let's see, do I have the right... where are those? I just want to make sure my connection string's correct first. Oh my god, so many errors. Okay, let's back out of Docker. Let's run that cat command again. db user, db pass, connection MySQL, and db's the host. Alright, that should be fine. Let's go back into Docker. Model factory generator. Let's just make sure there's no like composer oddities there, just between Docker and local. Okay, so I'm not setting these. I think the .env file was just for Travis. I think I took the approach from one of Spassy's packages. Okay. What I'm worried about is since I don't have a .env file, it's just returning, so it's never getting down here to attempt to configure, to override and configure these types of things. Which is funny because if you have a .env file, I don't even know why you're doing this anyway. So this whole setup, like, it's not my package. I don't really know, so I'm not trying to pick on it, but I don't really understand why any of this code is necessary personally. But whatever. Let's just go steal that Travis thing and turn it into a .env file and see if it somehow works. Because yeah, I'm assuming on Travis you just copied that. Yeah, you did. Okay. How did you even run it locally though? I guess you just made a .env file and didn't commit it, huh? That's fine. Let's try that. New file, .env, paste, and let's undo my test case changes, and we'll set db username to db user, db pass, and db host is db. Let's, db pass, and let's try that again. Oops, let's take that out too. So that should all just be the default. Nothing updated with Composer, so let's try vendor bin again. Nope. Just more is failing locally than than is remotely. Okay, so .env create must implement interface string given. .env create. So have there been changes to .env maybe since for Laravel 8, or I guess orchestral? Let's find out. Alright, what are they saying here? Thumbs up 9. Okay. So no answer. And Marcel closed it. Okay. Let's try again. What do we have here? Thank you. Throws because of the changes. So .env4, which Laravel uses in version 4, it's not using create anymore, but create mutable or create immutable. So I guess we want a create mutable since we're going to change it. So let's try this. Create mutable. Let's see if that gets us through our issue. Less errors, that's nice, I suppose. Connection refused, okay. Connection refused. Alright, well, I tell you what, I'm pretty much over trying to mess with this. We'll come back to it. Yeah, I don't know why that doesn't work. Something very odd, which I'll end up changing anyway, because it doesn't make sense to me. So if someone wants to tackle that on the chat on a local machine to see how those actually run setting up locally, I would appreciate it, because I'm missing something silly, I'm sure. But yeah, I don't know. This doesn't make sense to me why it's even needed, or why it's not working. Again, I could have something wrong here, so we'll just move on. What I want to do is go to the Laravel framework, and let's steal the factory stub. There it is. Let's just borrow this sucker, and we will start updating it our way. Okay, unfortunately, it did not keep the formatting, which kind of sucks. Oh, because it's a blade.php file. Why is this blade.php? Whatever. I'm trying to keep what was written before. So I'm gonna try to just do the way it was being done. So let's indent that properly. That should have 4 spaces. That's good. The for each fine. That should get removed. So that's all gone now. Not that lower one. So this should get indented. So should this. And all that namespacing is nice. Okay, cool. Yeah, what's gonna not really work about this is there's actually a PHP open tag in this now. So using Blade here is not really gonna work anymore. So we're actually going to go ahead and break this. So one thing I don't like about this is I think most things call this stubs. So we're gonna rename that and just bring that top level, refactor it, and change this to, whoops, wrong quick key, factory.stub. Stub. All right, let's get rid of views. And now we'll just change this to be something like, well, you know what? We don't want to, ideally, down the road, we would support using the stubs that are included with Laravel. This is something I'm actually working on with Blueprint as well. I want to make sure like those get replaced properly and so forth. So I want to try to just leave this way, and then we'll replace that accordingly. So I think this is the way to go. So now, without the tests working, let's just try to be diligent about where that was happening. Unfortunately, it's not being found anywhere, so it's probably just factory. And I'm sure there's just like a view call in here or something fancy like that. All right, let's try view. There we go. All right, cool. So it drops those in. And yeah, in fairness, doing it a view way is actually pretty nice. It just wasn't something, yeah, that kind of, it's not going to work out anymore with that PHP tag unless I wanted to like put it back into place, which if we're already doing string manipulation like that, may as well just do what we need to do with some replacements here. So let's fix this up. So this is what we had before, and just for reference, we're going to need to replace some of these things here. So let's just kind of note these and get these replaced. So we've got factory namespace. The namespace of the model itself is going to need to be replaced. The actual model name is going to need to be replaced. And what else? And then we're going to need to get a little tricky down here to kind of replace this return / bit. So let's start writing this code. So we need to replace the return / with the definition. Okay. So data was just getting looped over, and it's just straight ready for output anyway. So I think for those reasons, we could probably just pre-build data to be definition and then replace that accordingly within our file. And again, we can beef this up over time. We're just trying to prove this, can generate these today. So, okay, so let's start making this happen. So let's do content is going to be, we'll do file, get, and how's the path working here? Path gets passed in. Okay. Where does it come from? Database path. So I think this was loading into the vendor namespace, which is why we were able to probably pull in those resources that way. So relative to this file, this might be a little bit ugly. I'm trying to think of how we would get at a stub file. I think in Blueprint I set the stubs path like in the service provider, so I know I always have access to it. For now, again, a bit ugly, but we could just relatively reference it up a little bit. Let's try that just for giggles. This is ugly, but let's see if it works. So we've got stubs and then factory.stub. So that's going to be our content, or our contents, I think is. I kind of try to use that just because I think, when you do like a file get contents, it's, it's just a little nod to PHP. So, not that I necessarily like like contents. It's kind of awkward. But anyway, let's do an str replace, and let's just start replacing out these other things. So the factory namespace, again, this is not necessarily dynamic. We will clean this up over time. So we're going to replace that with database, factories, and again, this doesn't account for nesting or anything of that sort. We'll come back to that. The namespace model is going to be database factories, and then probably my guess is this model class name, right? And then we'll kind of just see what this looks like. And then model itself will just be replaced with class. And then, whoops, we're missing a lot of arguments here. Let's fix that. Not that, that. Contents, there we go. That's why PHP Storm was unhappy with this. Let's get a little more breathing room too. And then finally, again, this is quite ugly, but we'll make it more robust. This should be probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that was 12. Again, super ugly. 10 characters, so we're too shy. 1, 2, and then / should get replaced with our definition, which we don't have yet. So let's initialize that by doing what is being done here. So definition is basically nothing, and what we'll do is we'll do our own for each to replicate that. We'll loop over data as value, and we'll simply say definition, which I spelled wrong, but we'll fix that here in a second, is going to be a new line plus the spacing, which I think is 12 is what we're after, so let's make sure we got that. And again, we can clean that up. And then the actual value. And then a comma, that nice little trailing comma that we use. And that'll take care of that. So I do think, minus, again, some spelling I've been having trouble with all week, we've got definition, and this should actually render more or less what we want. We're no longer going to rely on that view, and we're going to do contents now. So this should be what we want, minus the fact that we don't need that prefix anymore. Now again, I'm fully expecting this to be obviously very rigged for a default conventional Laravel application. That's not necessarily the case. always going to be the case. But I think that's good enough for today just to kind of prove that we're on the right track. Unfortunately, without tests running, it's going to be a little hard to test this. So I see in the chat, figured out the test. Just remove the if statement with the if and the .env create plus load. Okay, let's try it. Test case. So just remove the if statement and don't load in the .env, basically is what you're saying. So here we're just hard overriding this stuff, which again, Orchestral should probably be doing for us, but whatever. Let's see what happens. Do I still have Docker running? I do. Let's go deck PHP again, and we'll do cd, what are we in? Model, generator, vendor bin, PHP unit. Nope, unfortunately, connection refused. Okay, we're not going to mess with that anymore. What we are going to do is kill Docker. And let's just go, you know what, let's just go to, I think I have like an L8, yeah, I got an L8 application here. It's not a Git repository. And this doesn't have, don't forget to update the username and password. Well, I have a .env file, right? All right, I'm gonna try it one more time. Try to get it right. Let's see here. All right. Don't forget to update the username and password. All right. So db user, db pass. I mean, again, with the .env file, I shouldn't have to do this, right? I mean, I don't understand. Okay. Deck PHP, cd model, generator, vendor bin, PHP unit. Hey, it's thinking about something. That's better. That's better than it was a minute ago. File does not exist. Okay, cool. So, hey, there we go. That's better. That's better. Okay. Let's start tackling these. File does not exist at path ... stubs blah blah blah. That makes sense because, I just kind of hacked that based on what we are trying to do here. So let's see if we can fix that real quick. I'm not exactly sure. Let's kind of just see what this is. I think PHP has a real path or something. Yeah. Let's see what that does. Let's just dump, or let's dd this just to avoid the noise. False. Okay. So not a good path. Let's do dir ... Whoops. Dir ... Let's try that. There we go. That looks better. So let's change this to this and see if we get a little farther. And again, we'll clean this up later. Let's just try to get to where we got some passing tests. Do you wish me to create app exists for you was asked. That's not necessarily what I would have expected. I would have expected a lot more failures given that we changed that stub. Do you wish me to create? Okay, well, it asks. Let's go take a look at this. That's not right. Yeah, anytime Docker's running, they like compete for like the file. So it's like super slow to search for things. All right, make factory, name exists factory, model factory. It expects question of factory file for exists, already exists. Do you wish to override the existing file? Cancel blueprint creation. It asks if a file, so it just seems like this question maybe got updated. So maybe this test was always failing? Unexpected question. Do you wish me to create app exist for you? Okay. That's fine. I'm wondering, maybe Krishan, you can tell me this. Do these tests actually test output? Like, I'm surprised that there aren't more failures given the fact that I changed, like, the stub. So I'm just curious, like, oh, I see. You just kind of, I see. You're just doing really, really, like, lightweight checks. Okay. I see. Yeah, you're not even checking if I think I answered my own question. Yeah. Okay. All right, here's what we're going to do then. Given the fact that these tests effectively pass based on the way that they're written, and my guess is this one was probably failing to begin with, or maybe there's a Laravel 8 change in the assertion for like asking a question. But since it's not related to changing the stub, I am going to go back and do that Laravel 8 application. And what we'll do is we'll just path into this and we'll just try to use it for real. And I think that's what we'll kind of end on since we've struggled to kind of get this going. Again, I thought about doing this beforehand, so we didn't have to kind of mess with this. But I think it's good to see, the process sometimes of getting things, kind of ground up started, and understanding, how packages are written all the different ways, and the effort that goes into maintaining a package. Like this is why packages, are kind of hard to maintain and eventually get abandoned, is because, there's a lot of effort involved to keeping them up to date, well tested, compatible with the versions, all the different versions. So yeah. Okay, let's kind of get a feel. I think this is just a very, very generic application. And my guess is the .env file uses a, yes, SQLite database. So sounds like we need MySQL. So let's set this up to be a MySQL database. So let's just kind of pull this .env file over. And let's just VI that. And we will change this to be MySQL, and we'll do db database equals L8 dev. There we go. And let's do PHP artisan migrate fresh. And of course, we don't have that database, so let's go make that real quick. So let's go back, and we'll just do databases, L8 dev. I have no idea why my 900 is there, but let's switch it down to the Unicode just to be straight up with the defaults. And let's try that again. All right, good. So we have a failed jobs table, we have a users table, and we have a posts table. Good. So we should be able to generate some factories based on this. So the next thing I want to do is bring in this package, and we'll map it locally. So we can do vi composer, and let's require dev, just like we would in kind of a real project. We'll paste that in. And we'll just say star because it's not really going to matter. And then we'll need to config this to be a repository for a local path, which I do think I have a special command for, but probably don't have that installed on Docker. So let's just do it ourselves. And I think you say something like type path, and then URL will be something like dot dot slash, and then what are we calling this? Model factory generator. Model factory generator. All right. What is it not like about that comma? What's wrong with you, comma? What did we do wrong there? I don't know. It's not highlighting it now. We'll do composer validate and see what's up. Okay, lock file's out of date, so we should be able to say composer update and hopefully see that it pulls the path in from that package, which would mean we could run this ourselves for this application. So this will be our way of testing it for now. And if this works, then that's pretty successful. Obviously, a lot of cleanup we need to do to make it work for all applications. But again, I'm not going to tag this until it's been run through and used on the test generation shift for Laravel 8 projects to kind of see that it actually fully works. So again, since we're on Docker, this is probably going to take a second. While it is taking a second, let's just see that we're correct. Composer use path. Let's see what we have here. Path, there we go. Type path, URL. Yeah, so this should be right provided I did the rest correct. Okay, so it's updating just generic stuff, which makes sense because I made this L8 project a couple weeks ago. But what I'd like to see here in a second is it take that package with the pathing information. And my iMac is humming. It's going to take off. All right. It's thinking about it. Installing Laravel symlinking. There we go. That's what I wanted to see. Symlinking from that. Okay, good. And as long as the auto discovery works, we should be able to run some artisan commands. Oh no! Okay, Nore Eloquent Model Analyzer service provider wasn't found. Why would that be the case? Eloquent Model. Okay, so this isn't even our package. This is that analyzer package that was updated. It doesn't seem like it's able to find that. Why not? Are we referencing that somewhere in ours? It's only referenced in the log file, which makes sense. Is that somehow like, did that get changed or something? Eloquent Model Analyzer. Eloquent, that's not required. What do you mean that's not required? I removed it in V2. Okay. You removed it in V2, but then you didn't unregister it. Analyzer. My guess is your composer file still auto-discovers it. Yep, it does. That's why. Yeah, you said it's not needed anymore, but you're auto-discovering it. So if it's not real, then that's why auto-discovery is breaking. Yeah, looks like you got rid of it, which is cool. If it's not really needed for anything, but yeah, it's still in your composer JSON auto-discovery. So if you could remove that very quickly, you don't have to tag it, but if you could remove that real quick on Dev Master, that'd be awesome. Or I can make a quick PR live if you want. Let me know what you think. But yeah, that's the kicker, and I won't be able to fix that very easily. Not hacking it in the vendor folder. All right, cool. Sounds like you're going to change that. So while you're doing that, let's go see what commands we need to run to kind of get this working. Oh, already tagged it. Awesome. So let's let that run in the background. Hopefully we'll pick up that tag. So we should be able to run something like, we could do factory all. That's probably the easiest thing to do. So we'll run this in a second. And what I would expect is probably the user factory to maybe choke or something. So we'll see. But it should generate the posts factory since that's a model within our application. And I am curious, are we doing, or well, I'll have to check. I'll have to check after this. Composer didn't. Packagist hasn't picked up your new tag yet, so we'll give it a second. While we're giving it a second, let's do an LSA LA on app. Okay, we do have everything, or no, we don't. We don't have everything under models. Look at this post just floating out there in the abyss. So let's clean that up while we're waiting on Packagist. So let's move app post to app models post, and let's go ahead and vim that as well. So app models post, and let's properly change its namespace. Models. All right, and now let's try Composer update. Let's see if Packagist got it. Hopefully it did. Get another drink while we're doing that. Nope, not yet. All right, we'll give it just another second, and if it doesn't pick it up, I'll try pointing at DevMaster, and we'll see. In fairness, Packagist, like, gosh, they have to monitor like probably a crazy amount of packages. I know it's good. I know it gets a push, but like still, it's a lot of work to probably feed that out. So it's no wonder it takes just a second on that delay. Okay, so we're all good here. Let's just kind of do some tab bankruptcy here. So some other things while we're waiting on this is I probably want to change this to be like generate or something. It just feels a little smoother to me. And then something else is we'll probably need to make sure that since it's Laravel 8, it's going to default to looking in the app models directory since Laravel resurrected that. But maybe make a quick option to, say, oh, my models are in the top level or something. So that would be nice. And of course, you can still just use the path. No big deal. There was one more thing. I liked this allow nullable. I remember looking at that. That's nice. Because, yeah, sometimes in my model factories, I don't specify nullable fields. So, yeah. And then what else do we have? There was something I wanted to make sure to change. It wasn't just the namespace. There was one more thing. There was one more thing in here that I thought would be a little smoother in Laravel 8. So, all right, yeah, let's give Composer update one more chance, and then yeah, I can make it require dev master. It should pick it up. It meets the requirement, so it's kind of interesting that it's not, but yeah, I can try explicitly requiring it. So let's just do Composer JSON, and what was that package? That package was like, oh gosh. Oh, you got it in here. Here we go. It is that. Oops, I thought I copied just the end. Let's try this. And we're not going to mess around. We're not waiting on Composer or Packagist. We're going to make sure it knows to just go look. Although, oh, no. I think we're good. I think we're okay. I was going to say, sometimes you can't like alias the lower level stuff. Installation request for Laravel 8, Nore, factory prefill. Yeah. Oh. No, that should be okay. We're pulling my path for that. I think if the names don't match, that's kind of what the issue is. That's what's going on here. I think if the names don't match, it doesn't know to pull that in. No, it should look at the Composer JSON file within the path and match those up. But I think the issue is that since, yeah, Composer's a little weird. When you can change root level dependencies, but you can't change like dependencies of lower dependencies, especially when you start doing things like aliasing versions or paths. You actually, since you're using a path, the thing would be to change it in the path that you're doing to hard code it there. So I think that's where we're running into this issue. That's why I was hoping Packagist would just trigger. So if this doesn't pick it up, I'll change it in the actual our little path, and then we'll try one more time. But yeah, it's possible that it's locked here and Composer's not changing it. There we go. See, it bumped now. It was just Packagist. I've seen it take 5-10 minutes sometimes to actually trigger that, especially for like, you know, non-Laravel framework, you know, non-super popular packages. I've seen. I wouldn't doubt there's some kind of like bit of priority in there. Okay. After that debacle, let's go try this. 0 factories created. My guess is because, again, it's looking here. So let's change this to be dash dash path and tell it app/models. 0 factories created. Okay. That is not helpful. Okay, what are we missing here? To generate factories for all models, run this. Models in different directories. Okay, to prefill factories from outside of the app directory, just add, okay, so we're not outside the app directory to indicate that the given path is a pre-resolved absolute path. All right, let's try to prefill. Let's just try to prefill like a very specific one. No. All right. Let's try app/models/post maybe? Yeah, something strange is going on here. No. All right, so it's not finding our models. How can we prefill some other namespace model? All right, just to make sure, let's just dump autoload for, since I did move that model, I don't think that's a problem, but just in fairness. And then just add the dash, is that -0 or -o flag to provide the full path to the model name? I don't understand some of these options. Let's try this again. Yeah, it's definitely like, it's not handling that very well. Again, I don't know if that's a Laravel 8 thing or if that's just the way it worked initially, but it's not doing very well with models being underneath that models directory. So according to this, I should be able to say something like app models post. I don't know what that is, but I copied it. A factory for post already exists. Do you want to? Okay, that's better. Yes. Class app user not found. Okay. And we seem to be hung. Belongs to app user. That might be my fault, in fairness. Let's VI this again. I bet you this is my fault. Yes, this path is wrong. I generated these the other week to demonstrate, actually, that the blueprint was not working with, unless you configured it, was not working with the new app models namespace. So let's try that again. At least we're generating something, though, now. That's good. So yes. Okay, good. It created it. Let's see what it looked like. Database, factories, post factory. Okay, we got a class, database factory. We're bringing that in. It messed up this, so it prefixed those with database factories. But again, that could be me. App models, post factory. So it seems like that class name is actually a fully qualified class name, not just the class name itself. So that's good to know. We can clean that up real quick. So yeah, that's why these are all getting prefixed. But otherwise, that's actually pretty good, minus this little line break here. That's not needed on the first one. So let's clean this up. Let's clean that up. We can clean that up, and then we'll end there. So I think you can do something like class base name. I think Laravel provides this. So that's really what we would want to do here, and then actually the same thing here. So let's see if that helps. So let's run this again. Yes, override it. It made it. Okay, so posts, and that's fine. Well, that's actually not fine here. We would need that to be imported properly. And here it's doing database factories. Why is the database factories using its own factory? That seems a little odd in the stub. Did we add that, or did that come from Laravel? That's very strange. Factory stubs. Oh, namespace. I gotcha. That was me. That was me. Silly me thinking Laravel's broken. What am I talking about? Okay, so the namespace model is actually the fully qualified class name here. So that's good. That one's good. We want to leave that alone. This is what we want to change, which did look better here. But now for the related models, we're going to have to be a little smarter about prefixing those. So I think what we'll do here is, now that these are namespaced, we'll just throw in a global prefix there. So I don't know where that's actually generated. Oh, here we go. That's pretty simple. It's generated right here. And let's just clean those up. I like making sure that we have proper bits. And lazy, honestly, was never really a practice that was necessary, especially when you were using this closure-based anyway. The only time you wanted to do that was when you were actually truly generating a model and like referencing its ID directly on there. But by the power of PHP, this closure is actually going to be lazy evaluated anyway. So we just don't need that. So let's run this yet again, getting a little closer. Whoops. And we'll say yes. And let's cat that out again. Okay, good. App models post. Now we've got the post reference. We're fully qualifying those, and we dropped off the lazy. Great. So the only thing that's really kind of left here, again, to generate a very, very conventional model factory is just honestly this little line break at the very beginning. So we can clean that up too in our prefill by just, what would be the best way to do that? I think the ugliest way to do it would just be to trim this, because we would trim it and then we would backfill the, or well, we could trim it from line breaks. Let's try that. There we go. Let's try that. That's a little goofy, but we're just kind of making it work right now. The whole point was to prove that this package could be a lightweight way to just kind of generate these, which I think once we got past that initial hump, we've proven that it actually generates things pretty smoothly. And I like the lightweight of the package, and we'll be able to make it even more lightweight as we remove some more stuff. But yeah, this is looking better from a generation perspective. You should also add this to the faker. Oh yes, total good call. We need to fix that. Where are we generating those? I think this gets generated in that additional file, right? Where does data come in? So let's see where this gets called. So we've got this write factory. Okay. Get properties from method. Map table properties. I'm assuming this is probably where things get generated. I don't want to bcrypt. Let's change that to hash make while we're at it. And here we go. This faker. This faker. And to that point, Does oh, no. We have a reference to this, of course, in the class already. So let's see what this looks like. Let's regenerate that. Ah, I keep doing that. Yes. And cat that out. This faker text, this faker sentence. We don't have the unique, but I'm going to assume that it works. So there we have it. Yeah, pretty quick and dirty, minus all that orchestral test bench crap Docker setup. But yeah, I'll get that cleaned up, get the test running, get them a little tighter, and then we'll start pulling out some of those other changes that I want to make. Just limiting some of those options, making sure that, this prefill all and all that kind of stuff works. I think there's probably no reason to kind of be messing with things that way. And then, oh, sorry, what else do we have in the chat? You should also exchange the factory. Yes, you are correct. We should do that. Let's do that, and then we'll end there. So instead of actually calling the old school factory helper, we would want to, where was that? Write factory file. We actually want to change this to be more like factory, to look a little more like that. So let's just kind of demonstrate what that looks like. Yeah, look, I did it again. Cat that out. So yeah, we should call the new factory, yeah, that's correct, the new factory helper that way instead of the global helper that it used to use. So I think the syntax is better. Again, I want to beef up the test to have a lot more checks, different data types, using unique, maybe a more complex relationship, and do more of an integration test where we're not just checking that, this one little piece or lines there. Do something where it's like, look, this was the fully generated class. And that'll help me drive out nested factories, models under different namespaces, things like that. Because honestly, another aspect of this that's going to need to happen is it's going to need to also potentially check your models to make sure that they have the new has factory attribute. So let me just show that. Whoops, Laravel. Let's just bring up this user model just to kind of, or user factory that comes out of the box. Or no, I'm sorry, the user model. And we'll see this little has factory. So this kind of does the wiring to make sure that you can use this little shorthand static method. This is what provides that. And of course, if you have a factory in a different location, you can override the methods within this trait to specify that. But otherwise, it assumes the convention of the top level factory name is that model name, and that all kind of wires up automagically. But the point is that this package is going to need to, it should, I think, check the model for this trait and make sure that it has it, and if not, go ahead and add that as well. And that'll be a little bit of work, but not too bad. We can use reflection since we know the app's running to see if this model, or if this, if this model class has that trait. With just, I think it's like uses trait or something. Yeah, class uses. We can just pass it a class name through reflection. It's going to kind of give us back all the classes that are being used within that. So long as we see has factory, then we won't change it. If we do, we'll add the import and drop in that uses factory bit. So cool. Let me check the chat for anything else. But I think that's pretty good. Let's see here. Replace factory with model. Yes, we got that. Good call. Krishan, sorry for the initial troubles. Oh, no problem. I mean, again, this is all kind of part of it. I just make a few jokes just because, on the live stream, I want to make sure that, we're moving and not getting stuck on something for like 20 minutes. But at the same time, that's the reality of programming. This is what happens. You get these, nerd snipes, or you get, some little ghosts in the machine, and it's just one of those things where, this is just the real world of programming. So it's okay. Totally no problem. Most of the reflection logic is hidden inside the Eloquent Analyzer package currently, but maybe you can just use that package and put all the functionality inside. I'm actually okay with like adopting other packages to do those types of things. If it's not using that model analyzer, there's probably an opportunity if that's used by other packages. We'll just have to see. But I think we had that conversation, maybe just to bring that up real quick. Did I put that under Shift, or is that like my own? There's like some kind of like faker, yeah, here we go, faker registry. So to the point of breaking things out into multiple packages, this is something that I added not too long ago. Actually, again, something that I used within Shift, within Blueprint, but maybe now this new package can use as well. But it's just kind of a nice little way to register all those different types of like, okay, look, if you have a column name in your database of address 1, then it should map to the faker data type of street address. And the reason I break things out like this is because it makes it so much easier for contributions, right? If there's more names, all sorts of names that can be used, all sorts of data types, and this extends well beyond Laravel. So having this, outside of it is an opportunity to kind of, again, break out this new Shift package to use additional packages and kind of put everything together. And that's what I really, I think is good. So the point is if that model analyzer has the opportunity to check for a trait or add an import, I'm glad to keep it separate. I mean, if you really think about it, Laravel, that's all Laravel does. It really wraps up a bunch of Symfony and other, PHP community packages and makes them, kind of better, right? It improves them in this nice kind of service, framework level service that you can just kind of freely use and more explicitly use. And sure, you can go wire all that up yourself, but, Laravel does all that kind of heavy lifting for you that just makes it so much easier. But again, underneath the hood, it's not writing all those itself necessarily. It's leveraging other packages, and that's what I really like about the community, and I kind of like that design approach when it comes to building packages. So, okay, with that said, I'm going to get some lunch because I'm hungry. Thanks everybody for joining. And I'll keep working on this a little bit offline to clean it up a bit, but I fully expect next week to probably do another live stream on this package again, and we'll review what I've done and kind of fill in the blanks on the rest of it. So thanks again, and see you all next time.